So Chris Cody is trying to be cool today. He's trying to welcome Christian and Alexis, the host of Meadowlark Media Soccer Podcast, the Cooligans, in a very cool way, and everybody is afraid of what Chris is trying to do.
Chris Cody is cool, is how I would phrase it, but do your thing.
Christian and Alexis, welcome. Welcome back to Dan Le Batard Show, hosted by me today.
These guys are cool. Legins.
Yeah. Thank you for having us. We're still waiting to meet Dan. It's been over a year. We have not
also,
met
before
Dan.
we start, can I just say I want no smoke with Mr. Dolan. I love the Knicks. I love what he's doing with the team. I don't want to be banned from the stadium. You feel me? I'm a big fan. Knicks and 6. Let's go.
Meeting Dan is overrated. So listen. What happened last night is actually the biggest story in sports, in my view, right? So the Women's World Cup, America, I want to get jingoistic with you guys, playing the Netherlands. It was a game that we should have watched. I watched it. It was a 9 p.m. start. We'll get into the times of all of these games in a bit because you guys are going daily now. You guys are going Women's World Cup daily correspondence for us. And so tell us, if you missed this game, what you guys saw.
Well, the first thing is, obviously a draw is a decent result as far as World Cup hopes. The U.S.'s World Cup hopes are not shattered by any means, but you immediately you missed an incredible goal from Lindsey Horan. But before that even happened, there was a challenge from her club teammate in Lyon, and we don't really get to see a lot of like Women's World Cup like scuffles. And we got one. We got a nice little, we got a real shove. We got the camera catching Lindsey Horan swearing directly right there. But really the result is ultimately the most important thing. Just getting a point. It's a little, we're a little shakier than we want to be. And we're not really used to seeing a U.S. women's national team that kind of struggles. This game, Netherlands scored first. We have not seen the U.S. women's national team at a World Cup be trailing in a game since 2011. So this is a very unfamiliar feeling, but to get that goal definitely comforted a lot of fans going forward.
Bro, Christian sounds like the producer of a reality show. He's like, we got to shove. We're good, okay? This is what we need, drama. Yeah, I don't agree with Christian. This is an absolute failure from the coach so far. He brought 2 center backs. You have to start 2 center backs. He only brought 2. We got no backups, and he hasn't even played 1. The hell is going on with this team? We should be bodying these teams.
Okay, that was my question. So I've read roughly 5,000 takes in the last 12 hours about the rotation last night. Not only did the U.S. women's national team start the same starting 11 as the first game, but they also only used 1 substitution in the game against the Netherlands at half, which is Rose Lavelle, who normally would be a starter but is coming back from an injury. So what did you make of his decision to not put in any subs at all in the second half? And did you think that his explanation was satisfying? His explanation was, like, things were working out really well. We wanted to get a goal. I didn't think putting in someone else would be the best choice because, you know, we had a lot of chances, basically. I didn't want to have to wait for someone to kind of warm up and get in there.
He did make a sub. He did make a sub in the second half. Yeah, it's the only sub he made. And let me tell you something. If you only make 1 sub in 90 minutes, you get fired from a Jersey Mike's, okay? You should be doing more, okay? I need to see better, especially since the midfield was completely lost.
Yeah, my initial reaction was, liar, why are you lying to me? Stop lying to my face. It was a terrible decision. Look, to FIFA added 2 extra subs. So now we have 5 substitutions, and this man only used 1. It makes no sense. When you look at the bench for the U.S. women's national team, that could be a whole other starting 11. It's literally the best bench in the Women's World Cup. He looked at them and said, yo, isn't it crazy? We got these great seats at the World Cup. It's just such a wild decision on his part. And if you search the name Vlatko on Twitter, you will not see anyone who is supportive of his decision. So it made absolutely no sense.
But in terms of what we're blaming then, what I'm getting from this analysis is, as much as the U.S. women's national team is not as good as they've been in previous years relative to competition, not as dominant, right? The reason is because of Vlatko, because the manager is just that bad, or what are we attributing this to?
I think it's a lack of taking a chance on a much more creative midfield. The fact that Ashley Sanchez did not come into that game. So Rose Lavelle, probably the best midfielder in this entire competition, coming back from injury. I get that he's getting her minutes up. She played a good portion of the second half, was good enough to start. Obviously, you don't want to start her and then have to make that switch. But if you know you're going to bring her in the second half, why would you start the same kind of slow, lacking creativity midfield, bringing in Ashley Sanchez, someone who can get. We have our forward three is insane. Sophia Smith, baller. Alex Morgan, baller. Trinity Rodman, baller. And there's no one to give them service. With that, we still managed 14 shots. If we had just a bit more creativity, a bit more service, bro, it would have been an onslaught.
Yeah, there's a confidence issue that is, I think, a bit of the problem. Just look, it's a much newer team than a much younger team than the team that won the World Cup in 2019, and there's just the U.S. women's national team is not used to being down a goal, so the mindset changes completely, the way they play, and you have to have a manager that trusts the rest of the players to make a difference, and to not bring anyone else in when you have such good players. These players have worked their asses off to get to this spot, to get to the point where maybe they're not a starter, but they're in a place where, hey, I can help the team if necessary. And to just look at them and be like, nah, I don't think we need to make any changes. After the midfield was getting eaten up, a lot of mistakes. And once you start seeing mistakes from the U.S. women's national team, that is a point where you're like, all right, we're not playing the way we need to be playing. Maybe somebody else can do something a little bit better. So this result is 100% on Vlatko and no one else.
One of the things that I noticed in the first half was the way that the Netherlands was so much better organized than the United States team, and they were really able to control the tempo and the passing. They also were extremely physical in the midfield. Like you said, we had Van de Donk and Lindsay Horan kind of battling it out.
Great name.
Throughout a lot of the game.
Horan, I know.
Something changed. Something changed in the second half. Obviously, Rose Lavelle coming in is huge. The team really needs her. But what was the biggest difference for you in the way that the U.S. women's national team was able to come back in the second half and put a lot more pressure on the Netherlands?
Do they call it the Holy Haran?
For me, the Holy Haran, hilarious. A good bit. I think for me the biggest issue. No, do bits. That's what we're here for. I think the biggest issue obviously was lacking the creativity. Bringing in Rose Lavelle changes pretty much everything for the way this team at least attacks and goes forward, which is why you saw them give up so much of the midfield and lose so much possession. But also low key, Crystal Dunn and Emily Fox getting up further, sending in crosses, maybe tucking in a little bit, just adding more midfielders, which is why I don't understand how Andy Sullivan is still starting on this team. I would much rather take one of the center backs that isn't really a natural center back, at least hasn't been for a while, in Julie Ertz, move her up into the defensive midfielder, bring in your other center back, one of the only two you brought with you, and have that partnership start, and then allow Crystal Dunn to kind of tuck in and attack the midfield, clog the midfield like we used to back in the day. This is insane. Yeah. I don't understand what he's trying to do. These teams ain't better than us, bro. Go out there and ball. It's like if the 92 Dream Team went out and said, what if we just keep passing the ball? Or what if we just play really defensively? It's like, no, get out there and show me some dunks, my G.
Yeah. You guys, you provide a lot of highlights. Why don't you do that at this tournament? Yeah, I would echo the same thing. I mean, having Julie Ertz in the midfield, I think is would have made a big difference. But overall, from top to bottom, the U.S. is better than most teams they're gonna be playing against. There probably doesn't need to be this much analysis on this. Just like,
who are they not better than? I just have a very simple question on that level, right? Like, who are we actually afraid of? Because Netherlands now is scaring me a little bit.
The coach's whiteboard is the only thing that can
stop us. That's our biggest enemy.
Damn.
But is that like an actual risk? I think you brought up 92 Dream Team. There was no risk. They could have passed 100 times and run the Princeton offense. They still were going to win every game, and they were going to win gold medal. Is there an actual risk of, hey, man, if we mess around kind of like we did last night, we're going to go home,
Well, these teams don't seem to be Angola, right? To use that 92 Olympics metaphor, it seems like part of the exporting of the beautiful game that these women are playing, that our women are playing, is that, in fact, the tide has risen.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, look, other nations have invested in the development of their players. Other players are getting to play at a higher level professionally from other nations. So you're seeing, that gap that we had is starting to close, but we are still leaps and bounds. What Christian said is true. Our bench alone might get to the final of this World Cup. If you took the best 11 from every other nation in this World Cup, our 11 would still compete. I don't know if we'd win, but we'd still compete. That's how good the U.S. is. The difficulty is in who do you start? What is your best 11? That's the difficulty. And right now, Vlatko's the one making those decisions, and it ain't looking good. It's looking soft. He's looking skittish. He's playing scared. Scare money don't make no money. Get out there, ball out.
Yeah, the debate seems to be like, what is the best 11? A lot of people don't think it is the players that he's choosing, but it is to me, it's simple. It's just like we have the better players. When our starting 11 gets a little bit tired, we have replacements that are incredibly good and have a ton of quality and can deliver something. So I don't understand as far as like what team to fear. To me right now, Japan and Spain look like the teams that would be really, really tough to beat. But more than anything, the U.S. cannot give up goals first. That has to be the mentality. Don't make mistakes early. Don't give up a goal first, because I think we saw with Netherlands, once they score first, they play incredibly compact, incredibly defensive, and it makes the game so much tougher. So this is where the issue of only bringing 2 center backs and not having a natural center backs play in that position, you make a mistake, and now the game gets a lot more complicated. Players get in their own heads. You see them making a lot of mistakes. Also, last night was strange in that everybody was slipping. People were saying that they were playing on a cricket pitch. They make mistakes and make mistakes early.
Well said.
I was like,
We lost. You got a little digi there at the end.
Like, is that me? Or is that, I'm like,
the degree of latency in Alexis's voice reflects, I think, some of the difficulties that we're going to face on Tuesday as we're all trying to wake up and operate our brains at 3 a.m. So USA, Portugal, not one of the teams. Portugal is not one of the teams that Alexis just called out as a team to fear. But what is your mentality, guys, as you live these vampire schedules, doing, yes, again, another World Cup daily for Meadowlark Media, the Cooligans Women's World Cup daily at 3 goddamn a.m. game time?
I mean, look, I'm not. We did it with the Men's World Cup. These odd hours to watch games. This is where our dedication lies. I mean, this is what we're here for. We're doing the cut. I have a 4-month-old. Okay,
Damn.
Who needs sleep? That's not. I'm not about that life.
I have a 4-month-old iPad, and also it needs to charge. I don't have kids. Pull out King. Let's go.
We're going to all collectively pull out of this interview
Splash.
now. Please subscribe to the Cooligans Women's World Cup Daily at Soccer Cooligans on YouTube, on the DraftKings Network, wherever you get your podcast. Christian, Polanco, and Alexis Guerrero. Muchas gracias, amigos.
Hasta la próxima, hermano.
Cuídese. I also know Pablo is not Hispanic.
I'm Filipino. All right, fine. I tried to get cool with you guys.
Yo,
Hold on.
Friday sounds the same. Monday through Friday sounds the same. Also, low key, Jersey got better at Cuban food than Miami. Bye, guys.
Damn.
oh wow.
There are no Cubans in the studio today.
That's for Miami. Also, there's got to be one Cuban somewhere around there, right?
Not inside the studio.
No.
Outside of the studio, there are very.
They've got their
many.
pitchforks ready.
Yeah,
and their and their afilador.
Now they're mad at me.